do think you're entertaining.
Oh, you're welcome.
You know, if nothing else, like there have been times that I really kind of wanted to choke you out a few times.
That's important.
But it's at the same time I go home and I'm like, you know,
Yeah, it builds
Tony's cool as
character.
heck.
That's the key to arguing. If people don't want to choke you out by the end of the argument, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
That's how I think, anyway. I mean, you know, doesn't mean your argument has any validity. It just means that you argue well.
Right. Oh, we forgot to, when Tony walked in, we forgot to go, hooty hoo!
Hooty hoo!
Oh my God. I did tell Lisbeth to never fear it's not the mouse in the walls if she hears us, but
she needs to be on here.
We're not
We need to
convinced.
line this up.
yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Hi,
I think she
Elizabeth.
was
We
on
love
there.
you.
And what if she's
In the other room. Quite literally.
Oh, jeez.
Is it really bad? I was just going to say come here, but in the wrong language. I was going to like, cook my Lauf, you know. German.
So,
I was like, wait, what
Wait,
language is that?
completely wrong language.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of proud that I thought of a foreign language that quick. I'm like, wait, what? Wrong one. It's something. It's something.
It's an effort.
It is. Oh, my wordness.
We need a dictionary. I don't think that's how effort is defined, but okay.
Good afternoon, dear listeners. What is this we're looking at?
just read.
Are there memes being circulated?
No. Chelsea asked us if we need a safe word if we're being injured and are we okay?
Okay.
She heard the howling.
She heard the howling, I know.
It was really the hooting.
So, yeah, that's the safe word.
Hooting means call the police.
Oh, she's
Howling
right
means we're
there.
fine.
She's right there. This is going to be great.
So we've already...
We need to dial it up.
What are you reading?
What am I reading?
Yes.
Dear listeners,
I
I
hate to
am
ask
reading.
that question.
I am reading Legends and Lattes by Travis. Oh my gosh. Baldry. Thank you, Travis Baldry, and it's a delightful little. I'm riding high on what you called it earlier in the week, a cozy fantasy.
I stole that from Tor.com.
But it's perfect. It really is. Colossally sized orc warrior decides to give up the mercenary trade, and she opens up a coffee shop. And like everyone she runs into, like makes connections with, she's got this little. I don't think they said what kind of species he is within the fantasy world, but he makes me think of a kenku. If anyone's familiar with D&D, like the nonverbal birds. But he's master baker. He's cooking up cinnamon rolls and like. Just,
carry on.
It's just making me happy.
So what Andy is really saying is this is a D&D coffee shop, AU.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
but it's also like super lesbian too, isn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay.
There's really leaning into the coffee shop. There's this one student from the local academy.
Wizard College.
He just comes in and he's like, "Oh, I don't need anything to eat. I'm just gonna do my homework here." No, you gotta buy something. But I don't want anything. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. I'm not reading it anymore. I just finished The Sentence by Louise Erdrich.
How was that? I was going to ask you the other day.
I think I would. I cannot listen to her narration.
I saw that you complained on
Is she
Twitter
the one
about that.
narrating it?
Huh?
She is the one narrating it. Yeah.
Her last couple, in years past, she's been other narrators have picked up the work for her. She's been just too busy. But you know, her kids are grown. She's got a little more time on her hands. She wants to narrate her own work, and I think that's very important for someone who like oral traditions are that big of a thing. And I want to love her narration. I just don't. 2 books in, I'm like, I can't listen to her narration. Her books, I think, are great. Mm-hmm. But there's that. But I finished that. I still need to figure out, like, I think I like the story. I had to get over the voice.
Wow, it was that bad?
Tells you everything you need to know already.
I did start, what is it? Give me a second here. What am I listening to? I am also listening to Load. It's called The Whalebone Theater.
Oh, that's the...
by Joanna Quinn, read by Olivia Vinal.
That's the read with Jenna pick from like last month or something.
Yeah, the cover for that is kind of cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about 5 minutes into it. I like the voice.
Okay.
And I'm hoping it's a good one.
I hope so too.
Amen. That's what I'm reading. That's me, Miss Supreme Overlord, Aaron.
I'm flipping my hair that is currently tied up. for the first time, I'm actually gonna say that I'm reading fan fiction. I don't think I've ever said that I'm actually physically reading one at the
You
moment.
did, but it was for our fan fiction episode.
Yeah.
Which was appropriate.
Yeah. But I'm also reading a couple manga, but I'm reading Hero Class Civil Warfare. It's a My Hero Academia fanfiction.
Okay.
I have explained this to you at some point. I
think
remember,
so.
yeah.
Yes, you did.
So the whole entire premise of this whole fanfiction, and this is one that I keep coming back to reread because it is literally that good. So basically, the whole entire main group, because this is like a classroom of kids who are trying to become superheroes for anybody who hasn't actually watched My Hero Academia, nor have they read it, which is a nightmare right now. But how it works is this is kind of like an alternate universe where there's a moment during the school year where they split up the class in half. Half of them are going to be heroes and half of them are going to be villains, and they have to go into a city simulation gym thing where all the villains have a certain amount of tasks that they have to complete, and the heroes win if they can stop them throughout their tasks and capture them all. However, the villains win if they can complete all of their tasks. And how it works is that there's 7 days of prep time, and then there's 3 days inside the city for them to actually make this all happen.
So basically, this is like a giant school project for superhero school?
It's like an exam, almost. And it's...
Wow, I didn't realize that Harry Potter was missing something so simple, but it really was.
It's,
what?
It's one of those things where, the way that it's written just makes me really want this to be an actual physical book in my hand.
So print it off and bind it.
And I physically want to see it on a screen is kind of how I want this. It is one of those where I'm like, okay.
Like as an anime, right?
Yeah, either that or even live action.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. The way that it's explained, the way that it's written, the characters that just get involved in the tasks that they have to do really just kind of screw your mind up for a hot minute.
Yeah, why not?
And then I'm also playing Pathfinder Kingmaker.
Ooh. Oh, nice.
The video game version, which is just a single player game.
Okay.
Right now, I'm rolling through a cave, and I hate spider swarms, and I never want to see them ever again.
Well, see, not playing that game.
They're these. You can't really see that they're spiders.
Boo, you said swarm.
There's just so many of them.
No,
it's like a big black mass.
They look like little dots, and they just kind of go everywhere. But the only way to fight them is if you have fire magic or if you have a torch. And I hate every second of it because I only have 2 torches. One person has burning hands for one turn and one turn only, and the rest of them all have weapons, and there's 6 of them.
You have to understand that I know the Skyrim map so well that there are entire sections that I will avoid until I am a strong enough magician that it doesn't matter.
Are you telling me that you avoid the Riften Woods because of the spiders?
Absolutely. I almost used the F word. we don't do that.
Grant.
Moi?
Yes.
What are you reading, Grant?
What am I reading?
Lord Ish.
Lord-ish. That is I guess. So, after last episode, I read the new Cormac McCarthy book,
Yes.
The Passenger.
How is it?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
It's a noise.
So how does it rank in the Cormac McCarthy oeuvre?
I mean, I have not read all of his stuff.
How much? You've read a few though, haven't you?
Yeah, I've read
Okay.
Blood Meridian, The Road, No Country for Old Men.
Okay, so
Did you grab the next one?
the hits.
Did you grab the next one?
I did grab the next one. That's what I'm reading currently.
Oh.
Which is so
That's right. They released 2 at a time. Was that?
well the Passenger was released 2 months ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
Stella something?
Stella Maris, which is described as a coda or a companion to it, was just released. And I mean, long story short, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But that kind of goes without saying. It's Cormac McCarthy.
Sure.
So plot wise, it is the overall story is a brother and sister. Their father was one of the men who helped create the atomic bomb. And they're both the brother and sister, both in their own ways, are kind of child prodigies. And throughout the years, just a a lot of stuff happens.
Yeah.
And the first book follows the brother. The second book follows the sister.
Ah, okay.
The books are made. So the books themselves. Well, the first one's pretty like the majority of it. It's a collection of individual conversations.
Oh, okay.
That the brother has with these, people and stuff. There's a lot of ruminations on philosophy and physics, and I guess Cormac McCarthy, like whatever university he is kind of resident at or whatever, he's kind of friends with the, theoretical physicists and stuff. So there's a lot of it feels very authentic.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very dark rumination on the stuff I said previously, and family and the end of humanity.
Well, I mean,
And then Stella Maris is it's one long conversation basically. It's the sister is at a mental institution. She admitted herself, and it's basically just a record of her talking with the therapist. It's really, really, really good.
Yeah, that's fascinating. There has to be someone out there. Well, there will be. I won't have to do it. I'll just wait until they do it.
Yeah.
There has to be someone out there waiting to write about the structural differences of representing gender, because you have this structure for the boy book, and the girl book has a completely different structure. And what does that say about our perceptions of, or at the very least, Cormac's perceptions of, boys and girls, men and women,
It's interesting you bring that up, because in The Passenger there is a trans character. And to me, I was scared because he's an old guy from Texas.
Yes.
Oh,
But
yes.
I thought he handled it in a very, if not perfect, manner. He handled it in a very interesting, thoughtful way.
Yeah.
Uniquely him.
Yeah.
That, not making any judgments on it, but if you were to read it, just take it from it what you will.
Yeah,
But,
definitely.
he valued, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, read the books. They're
I will.
really good.
Yeah, because that's interesting. I think it's great. I think more authors need to try it, because we're people too.
Anyways, what are you reading, Tony?
So, I found this article the other day on accident. That it's a Guardian article, and it was.
Oh, no, okay, never mind. I was going to go on accident.
No, it was on accident. I went to LitHub, and they had this article on there that was about valuing slow reading slowly, and I was like, okay, someone has lost their minds, or they're a genius. So I went to this article, and basically they talked about how the writer E. Lee, who is also a university professor, intentionally reads. Well, first of all, she already reads slow, but she intentionally, created a way in which to read so that it prioritizes the slowness of her reading. So she says that when her students come in and they say things like, "Oh, I can read 100 pages an hour," she says, "No, I don't want you reading 100 pages an hour. I want you reading 3." And she has a whole thing where she will read 10 books every day, at a time, 10 books at a time every day, but she will only read either 3 pages from each book or for half an hour out of each book. And I decided that I wanted to try that, and I wanted to try it for the next year just to see what happens, because I'm a slow reader, and I thought maybe this is the solution to actually completing things, because I will have a stack of 10 things that I can only read 3 pages per sit down of each book. And because I'm doing the 3 pages over the course of 30 minutes, I will read the selection twice. So that, and it has a really, really interesting, profound effect on the effort of reading, because I already read pretty deeply anyway. But when I go back that second time, because it's right away, things jump out at me that literally, it was there before. I remember reading the words 10 minutes ago, but reading it again, it's like, oh, that's what they're saying. And it's so interesting. And because there's 10 books, you're seeing all the very, very different ways in which writers manipulate language to get you to invest in the thing that they're writing about.
Yeah.
So I have a few things. So there's Memorial by Brian Washington, which I'm reading. It's fantastic. I'm rereading Real Life by Brandon Taylor because I love that book and I just want to revisit it before his next book comes out. There is a poetry collection by my favorite poet, Ocean Vuong, called Time is a Mother. I read one poem from that this morning called Skinny Dipping, which was just lovely and wonderful because Ocean is lovely and wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another book that is currently my favorite in the running of books that I'm reading right now. And one of the books I'm reading is a Toni Morrison novel. So he's beasting on Toni at the moment. That's not easy. It's a book called Gay Bar, Why We Went Out by Jeremy Atherton Lynn. That guy can write. Like, it's disgusting what he's able to do with, like, language. I love it. So, the only thing that all of those books have in common is the fact that they're all queer men of color, which just makes me really happy. As a human, I'm like, the range, the glory, we've arrived. I love it. So, that's what I'm doing.
Not exactly as deep as what you were talking about, but like I'm thinking about slow reading for a minute, for a few minutes since you started talking about it. I haven't been able to read more than like probably 10 pages at a time of Legends and Lattes.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit busy, busier than normal here and there, doing a few other things. It's actually like I really want to sit down and consume it all. I mean, I'm part of that binge culture.
Sure.
Like I want it all. I want it now. Mm-hmm. But it is forcing me to slow down, read it a little more intentionally, a little more, appreciatively. Mm-hmm. And I am thinking about it more. I'm talking about it more just to other people.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the feeling we used to get with television back before you got a whole season in a day.
When you had to wait for a week.
For a whole week, and people didn't freak out. They didn't go, oh my God, I have to wait a week. Even if there was a cliffhanger, you're like, okay, I have to wait a week. I'm freaking out. But you also were like, I need to be home by 9:30 tonight, come hell or high water, because Game of Thrones is coming on, and I need to find out what happened to Sansa, okay? I love... We're in danger. I don't want to say in danger like I'm some kind of, neophyte, but we're losing it. And that shift can be challenging. So it's nice to go back to something that I am familiar with. And,
You triggered another thought. And this is segueing into our topic. It's...
Grant's like, I'm being cheated.
Our today's topic, dear listeners, was chosen by the impending birthday boy, Lord Ish. Oh my
God! I'm the captain.
Your use of props is always epic.
I'm waiting for the day that we actually get a camera in here and do a live stream.
Yeah, I know the people listening probably have absolutely no idea.
For you who don't know
our best recorded laugh was when you pulled out that recorder. Oh my gosh.
For those who don't know.
Lean in.
All right, so what's the
Grant has a captain's hat for those who can't see.
I'll turn it over to you. Like, the dungeon will be yours, Captain. It will no longer be the daddy's. Just threw up in your mouth a little bit.
I'm reading a book about gay bars. You really want to go there?
But do you remember, like, back in the day, listening to the radio to record, like, create a mixtape? Or is this... Might be a little bit beyond your age.
Mixtapes, yeah.
But you'd sit there and you'd be listening to whatever the radio is. In Jackson is 105.3, and I'm trying to think Light Rock 99, WFMK. And you'd wait for the song, and someone would distract you or yell, and you'd be like, what? And then you come back, I gotta listen for like 4 more hours to get that song. It was a whole experience. And then you would listen to that song over and over and over, like these mixtapes. You'd create them and you'd listen to them over and over and over again. Now there are songs from the 80s and 90s that I know, just like you put the gun to my head to save my life and say, sing the entire, like the Dangerous album by Michael Jackson. I got you. I got you. There are albums out there like that I could just, you say, to save your life, you have to sing it word from word. There are a number of albums from like 25, 30 years ago that I could do that to. again, it's just kind of a thought process. As you were talking about that, it made me think about something else, because how we appreciate and consume music.
No, I mean, I'm definitely past that age, the age of mixtapes, but I would burn CDs and stuff, and I would take
when you had to sit in LimeWire for hours.
And I would take care of how am I going to order this? How is the flow going to work?
I still do that with Spotify.
As do I. I love making playlists.
Yes, stuff, all the time. It's second nature to me, actually. Mm-hmm. In fact, speaking of the subject, I have. I love this. I got to see how many hours this is because it's huge.
Are you looking at your Wrapped?
No.
I was wrong on every guess I made.
Again, I almost said the F word. So I have plenty of Spotify playlists, and a lot of them are devoted to my absolute obsession with film scores. But I have one that I'm particularly proud of. It's called Solace, because that was the feeling I was going for. Mm-hmm. It is 5 hours and 22 minutes of music, all of them from film scores. It starts with Wakanda Origins, which is the very first track on the first Black Panther score, and ends with A Small Measure of Peace, which is the final track on the Last Samurai score by one Hans Zimmer, and that score has no right to be that good. It was back when Hans Zimmer was that good, and I will drag him for filth until he gets better.
Man, his score was great.
Are you going to say Interstellar's subpar? Score to Interstellar?
I need to listen to the score to Interstellar, because when I was watching that movie, the last thing I was going to pay attention to was the score, because that movie is incredible.
No, it is incredible. But the docking, I forget what the song itself is called. It's like Docking or something.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll know it when you hear it. It's the organ one.
I do need to listen to that one, especially because Inception, I think, is one of his best things, and that was also a Christopher Nolan movie. So the less said about The Dark Knight, the better. Score-wise, it's trash. Anyway, all of that is to say that I love film scores. I'm an obsessive person, and I make playlists out of them. It was a segue. Whatever.
Oh. Yeah. Would you say that they, even without the visual thing, they tell a story? If you were to listen
the best
to a film
films
score,
do. Yeah, I mean, that's the treasure of the 6 George Lucas directed Star Wars films. It's why those films work, because they're all the visual things that he did, but the most important thing that he did was he gave John Williams the instruction, these are silent movies. Yes, I've given them dialogue. Yes, the actors have spoken them. Yes, the audience is going to hear them. But if by any chance in some alternate universe the dialogue is lost for all time and all we have are my images and your music, the entire story still works. Mm-hmm. That is a genius way to play with sound in a story, especially when you have someone as good as John Williams. It's just like...
I like seeing those memes online where they talk, like, it's the little dialogue about image, and it's George is talking to John. He's like, John, so it's just a movie about, like, it's kind of like a soap opera thing in space. You don't need to do anything that grand. And then the image below is a guy at a piano with flames erupting on the piano, sparks and smoke and like chaos raining.
It's so good.
Because John Williams went hard,
and he didn't have to.
And he went hard in a lot.
I think he really does. Well, because he's impulsive like that.
No, and they weren't sure that like a classical style score would work at that time.
At the time, no.
Because they probably, like anybody else, probably would have gone like a synthesizer score or something. Mm-hmm.
Because he was the only one doing them, and he wasn't John Williams at the time. He was, that guy.
John Williams.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah. And then, then he did Star Wars, and then they were like, want to do this William Faulkner adaptation that no one's going to care about? Which they don't. The Reavers.
I haven't seen that.
But the score to The Reavers, gorgeous. So, it's, music and stories. Speaking of John Williams, actually this segues very nicely into Aaron's part of this conversation. Because John Williams is John Williams, he gave us the Harry Potter theme songs, made them memorable. We still hear that. Okay. This is my last bit. This is the genius about John Williams. If I go ba ba da ba, everyone's finishing it and going, oh yeah, Indiana Jones. If I go da 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 da, we're all
Everyone
finishing it
already
and we're
knows.
like it's Harry Potter. That's so genius to be able to just right. Jurassic Park. Wait, no.
No.
Dun, dun, dun,
Superman.
dun, 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 dun.
Superman.
Good thing a camera wasn't rolling. I was about
I
ready to
forgot.
grab my mug, smash,
I was-
stab.
You're right.
Andy
That
was about to launch himself over the table.
That I like.
Oh.
Yes, that's not my favorite part of the Superman score, but
No, there's
yes.
a lot going on to that, but
Yes.
as a diehard Superman fan, that is not my favorite Williams work. It's Star Wars, easily, hands down.
Do you know what actually mine is? E.T.
That is a really good one.
Yeah, there's the one called I think it's called Flying. It's either called Flying or Flying with E.T. or Adventures on Flying or something like that.
When they like cross the moon.
Yeah, that moment, like listening to
I can
it.
hear it, but I can't.
Well, so it starts off chaotic. You can feel someone riding a bicycle listening to it, and the more it moves into the symphony, the more it's this bombastic moment, and you can literally, like, as you're listening to it, not only do you see that image, that iconic image of the bike
Going across
in
the moon.
shadow going across the moon, but it makes me literally sob listening to it because I'm like, he's losing his friend. Like, it's unfair that man's little notes on a paper and trumpets in a studio can make me feel like that. Oh.
Okay, I had to look it up really quick because I started thinking about another 80s, great 80s sci-fi classic that had a hell of a score. What are you going to say?
Blade Runner? Vangelis?
I was going to say Back to the Future.
Okay.
But
Also good.
Oh, wait,
Alan
who did Back to the Future?
Silvestri?
Oh, Alan
right.
Silvestri is a genius. Portals, Aaron.
Thank
You want to tell us
you.
about Portals?
Yes.
Oh, how it makes
Composed
me
by
feel
Alan Silvestri?
insanely like intense the whole entire time, and how it leads into the silent guitar end of one spoiler alert, Tony Stark over here in the corner, which then leads into the funeral song, which is just as heart wrenching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alan Silvestri was rude with Infinity War and Endgame because he wrote out like 4 scores. You don't need anything more than that. And the way that he built an entire score sound off of just those 4 different... I'm just like, excuse me, but what? That's not fair. Rude. So, that's just...
Brought
my
out an
thing.
actual list.
There's another prop, Grant. I want to know more.
Oh, well, this isn't a prop. It's just
He brought a list.
yeah. That's, no, I'll go on a little mini lecture towards the end, maybe where I want to. Okay, fine.
Okay.
All right. I kind of want to tangentially connect it to books. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh no!
I kind of want to talk a little bit about artists or albums that are inspired by literature.
Yes, go.
And if anybody knows of anything, feel free to jump it in.
I just want to see it.
All right, so I'll start out with this.
The shitty scores right now.
So I listened to these albums before I read Moby Dick, and they're part of the reason I read Moby Dick.
Really?
Okay.
They're both album-length adaptations of the novel Moby Dick by Herman Melville. And they're handled a little differently, but the first one is The Call of the Wretched Sea by Ahab, an appropriately named band.
Of course, right.
Yeah, they kind of exhausted the Moby Dick theme on the first one, so they just did other nautical stories afterwards.
Yes.
But man, it really makes you feel like you're like a lot of the lyrics are taken directly from the novel.
Yeah.
And just the down-tuned guitars are so heavy and crushing, and the pace is so glacial, like really, really glacial. It just makes you feel like you're in you're on the ocean or being crushed by the weight of the ocean or something.
Yeah.
You just feel, it's a very atmospheric listen. Then the second one is Leviathan by Mastodon.
Wow.
Now, this is also another retelling of Moby Dick.
Sure.
This one kind of lyrically, it doesn't pull at least in my reading, it doesn't pull directly from actual lines in the book.
Yeah.
For most of the part, it gets more psychologically in the characters' minds and stuff. But man, that's a crazy album. I think it's the song Megalodon, where it starts out kind of mid-paced riffing, yada 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 yada. Halfway through, for no gosh darn reason, it stops, and then there's a country riff out of nowhere. Never happens again. It's just like a blues country and then they go right back to it, but it works perfectly.
It's almost like they're taking the style of Moby Dick, which Junot Diaz has said is one of the most modernist books not published now, because it is extremely postmodern in its the way that it just
it brings together a lot of different
approaches. Yeah, exactly. And it was done before there was ever a post. It was done about 80 years before a postmodern.
It was done before the modernists.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is like way before the modernists, which is nonsense to think about. So yeah. No, anyway.
Yeah. So those are just two albums I like.
Yeah.
Is this kind of an excuse to talk about music I like? Yes.
Absolutely.
I can already see it is.
Yes.
It's your birthday cast.
Okay. So I think a pretty widespread book / series, whatever you want to call it, that's inspired a lot of musicians is Lord of the Rings.
It's a book.
It's a book. Okay.
I'm sorry.
I would call it a single work as well. So one of the more notable ones that was really inspired is Led Zeppelin.
That's right. They were, weren't they?
Yeah, they were huge nerds. Misty Mountain Hop.
Named after the Misty Mountain. That's hilarious.
The Battle of Evermore, which has a lot of... This is full of Lord of the Rings references. It references the ring wraiths at one point.
Please tell me the Immigrant Song.
Immigrant Song is about Vikings.
I figured it was, but I'm like, please tell me it had some foundation within that. Like, that's a song.
It is. Ramble On. By name references Mordor and Gollum.
What?
A lot of people don't like they just kind of they like the song. But,
yeah.
Even Stairway to Heaven, I think somewhere deep in there, it has some. It's not like concrete. It's an oblique reference to Lord of the Rings. But there's other sprinkled around their discography and stuff. But there's a bit like it just kind of added to their mystical vibe, I guess.
That's genius.
It was just the time. Rush has a song called Rivendell. Also a bunch of Ayn Rand stuff, references that we won't talk about.
She who shall not be named.
Blind Guardian, which is a European power metal band. They have an album called Nightfall on Middle Earth, which is a complete retelling of the Silmarillion.
What?
Yep. Summoning is a band. Everything they write is Lord of the Rings reference.
Nice.
And a whole bunch of bands that aren't necessarily like everything that they do isn't Lord of the Rings related, but they're just named after it. Amon Amarth, Burzum, Cirith Gorgor, Cirith Ungol, Efel Duath, Gorgoroth, Isengard, Morgoth. Assorted names like that.
Yeah.
I want you to create a Spotify playlist and include us all.
You're acting like I haven't already created it.
I was going to say, come on.
Okay.
He just hasn't shared it with us yet.
Yeah.
The link will be included in the bottom. Right,
yeah, and tell me if you want to break this up, because I can.
No, this is...
No.
All right, so, and then kind of getting into, like, more classical stuff, classical literature. Symphony X has a really good album called The Odyssey, which I'm going to give you take a wild guess what it's based on.
Yeah. It's the Iliad, right?
Yeah.
Who wrote that?
Who wrote it? Oh, okay.
Oh, well, actually, technically...
I'm sure
that
there's
is
some doubt.
hotly debated because Homer, the human, the person, was blind and illiterate. But also, in Greek, the word that is translated from Greek that we see as Homer actually means a group of storytellers, a group of oral storytellers, rather than just a single person.
So you think it was a group rather than a human?
So it was a group rather than one human. And the one human who may have, like, physically written down what was in oral tradition was probably not the blind and illiterate guy who gets the credit.
Okay, next.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. David Bowie, he has a song called 1984, which is obviously about 1984, but the whole album Diamond Dogs, which is like 70, I can't remember the exact year, but a lot of it's like, because he had an idea to make it a 1984 stage production musical.
This reminds me of Tanster Vampire already.
Which I really wish would have happened.
how do you turn 1984 into a musical?
Very carefully.
Well, it didn't turn out.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of those songs ended up being songs on that album, and like you can pick up a lot of the threads from the book if you listen to the lyrics and stuff. It's a very dystopian album.
Fun, relevant fact. By J.K. Rowling's own admission to Oprah, so you can look up the interview, Michael Jackson wanted to do the Harry Potter musical. Like an official Harry Potter musical.
Really?
Yep, petitioned her and everything. And she was like, nope.
I mean, there
we could have gotten an official one?
There was some stuff going on around that time that maybe,
Oh, yeah, that's true. There was. That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, let's market all of our things to children from that guy.
Yeah.
So maybe
I am saddened.
Yeah.
I could have gotten an actual Harry Potter musical.
I mean, you still might. It just won't be.
We got some unofficial
I
ones.
do have unofficial ones. It's fine. Keep
That's
going,
true.
and we'll get there at the very end.
Okay.
Gotta wipe the tears. What could have been?
The band Bolt Thrower has a lot of their songs have to do with Warhammer, the Warhammer universe. So I'm calling Christian somewhere. I know Christians.
No, that's actually really kind of cool because Warhammer, it feels like to me, has that kind of world building that you could write. Like,
It does.
Some kind
It's
of cool
nuts.
stuff. Yeah.
Kate Bush has a song inspired by Ulysses by James Joyce. She has a
Okay.
song called Wuthering Heights, based on Wuthering Heights. In general, she has a lot of. She seems to be a very well-read person.
There's so many in this next one.
Yes. So the number one artist I think of when like inspired by books, literature, stuff like that is definitely Iron Maiden.
Oh, okay.
And like okay, so this is a non-exhaustive list.
I'm not kidding. This is a very long list.
Yes.
I'm excited.
So
Scroll opens up, it rolls across the floor, goes around the table 3 times.
no, and I think part of the reason why Iron Maiden in particular is so good at this is because of the storytelling element of their music, like with their galloping rhythms and the operatic vocals and everything. It just feels like you're being taken along on this ride.
Yeah.
And they seem to be another well-read group of artists. So, Stranger in a Strange Land, Brave New World, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. The who's that? Ender's Game. Orson Scott Card series. Seventh Son.
Nice.
When the Wild Wind Blows, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, based off of the epic.
Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner?
It's one of their best songs. It's 14 minutes.
Get out.
Oh my gosh.
Phantom of the Opera, Murders in the Rue Morgue, Lord of the Flies, Out of the Silent Planet, and perhaps
Out of the Silent Planet?
Out of the Silent Planet by C.S. Lewis.
What?
There's a whole song based on it. And perhaps the most pertinent to like my tastes and stuff, To Tame a Land, which is based on none other than Frank Herbert's Dune.
Dun dun dun.
Da 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 da.
Fascinating.
It starts out with just this kind of atmospheric, wind, sand noise, and then the whole song kicks into gear, and it's like Middle Eastern scales and stuff, and it's really awesome.
Iron Maiden got to it before Toto did.
That's true. I like Toto too, but
I know.
And fun fact, the song was originally going to be called Dune, and they wrote to Frank Herbert's like agent. Can we call it?
Did
Dune?
Did they get told no?
They got told no in kind of mean terms. As much as I love Frank Herbert, it was a short but terse, intense letter. It said part of it read, Frank Herbert does not like rock bands, particularly heavy rock bands, and especially heavy rock bands like Iron Maiden. So, which I find very ironic coming from a science fiction writer, which is a genre that took a very long time to be taken seriously.
Yes, especially because he was writing what you could arguably easily call a space opera, which was extremely denigrated at the time he was writing it.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right. And okay, final part of my little video essay or audio essay. So these are some artists who I'd say would tell stories that are worth that like are substantive enough to stand up against like book series or something. Like they have narratives that are told from album to album or song to song or songs from okay.
Yeah.
So Coheed and Cambria. They have a sci-fi story from album to album, same characters and everything, and they actually have a comic book series that goes along with it.
Oh, that's cool.
Called the Amory Wars. I haven't read them. Opinions on the quality of the comics themselves
Very,
vary.
of course. Yeah.
The music's the main,
Yeah.
yeah. Voivod, one of my favorite bands. That's another sci-fi epic about a character called Korgel the Exterminator.
Nice.
They started in the 80s, so they kind of started with that.
Yeah.
But although their style kind of changes, throughout the years, they get more progressive as they go on. The story continues. Let's see. Magma, that's a prog rock band from the 70s. They invented an entire language for their universe that they told.
Brilliant.
And then I think they have like translations in the liner notes and stuff.
What?
More modern one, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, another one of my favorites.
I love that.
They're another band that like from album to album they jump from style. Like they have a thrash metal album, they have a psychedelic rock album, they have a folk album.
That's cool.
But it was kind of a conspiracy theory among the fans that they were all connected until fairly recently. And like, it's like a shared universe and like these little characters and storylines that you've picked up on it. They call it the Gizverse.
The Gizverse.
The Gizverse. So
Brilliant.
it's beautiful. It's wonderful.
I'm surprised nobody's mentioned Glory Hammer in this.
Glory Hammer.
Yeah, they have a whole entire space opera thing dedicated about this guy named Angus McFife, who goes on a whole entire mission to defeat a sorcerer, and it's 2 albums.
That's cool.
Is that the album covers the guy with the hammer?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
it's a whole thing. It's fantastic.
So fascinatingly enough, it is out of this exact kind of thing that Afrofuturism was born.
And I forgot I wrote Janelle
Monáe. Yes. So before Janelle Monáe, and I think she's admitted to being inspired by the early musical Afrofuturists of the late 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. But a lot of literary science fiction writers who are black as well. They're a lot now and not as much then. But they quibble or have quibbled with Afrofuturism as a literary context because its source code is in music and art, but it's stuff like what is that band?
Parliament?
Yes, Parliament Funkadelic is a huge contributor to this and sort of like the mainstay. There's also Sun Ra is another one. That's another huge one. And then, of course, a modern example is Janelle Monáe. And they all sort of have literally created, Janelle Monáe has this, robot universe that she works in. And it's cool to know that, people are creating entire story universes, narrative universes, but in lyrics, in song lyrics.
It's just another way of getting a story across.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think visually you can see it in people like Lil Nas X. And even Lady Gaga, there's something. It's not just, these are weird, freaky kind of people doing weird things. No, there's a story being told over a period of time with some of those costumes. If you piece them together, you can sort of see, what is going on here? Okay.
Kind of similar with David Bowie, where he had those very different characters. I don't necessarily know if it was one one comprehensive story.
Yeah, because David Bowie comes out of the what is that tradition of rock music?
Glam rock.
The glam rock. Yeah. So I mean,
yes.
glam rock was all about.
This was glam rock too.
You know, being a drag queen without being a drag queen, basically. Set to rock music. So, you know.
Sorry for yelling at you guys. For
what?
like 10 minutes.
You weren't yelling. You were enthusiastic.
I was enthusiastic.
So what do you think we do?
Is this how you feel all the time?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Literally. Yes. Yes. I mean, all the time. Yeah.
I was told before we leave that I have to mention Star Kid at least once in this podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, because Star Kid is an exemplar
said
of
that?
this.
Tony.
Of course I did.
Who's Star Kid?
I'm gonna throw.
I
fan at you.
legitimately don't know.
Oh.
Like that's not like trying to get like a.
Have you ever heard of a Harry Potter musical?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
heard.
that's Star.
Yeah.
Star Kid is the theater troupe that gave us the unofficial Harry Potter musical that we never got with Michael Jackson. Thanks, J.K. Rowling.
No, actually, thanks, J.K. Rowling, because I feel like it would have been terrible if Michael Jackson did it.
But like maybe also literature as music being told Percy Jackson's musical was really good too.
Oh, I've heard that's really good. Yeah.
That one's really good, but
Yeah, the Croswell really wants to do it.
Star Kids musicals
Yeah.
also tell a couple different stories. There's obviously the Harry Potter ones, but they've also told Aladdin in one of them. They've told literally Batman versus Superman in one of them. It's called Holy Musical Batman.
Holy Musical Batman, yes.
But Batman with an at symbol instead of an AT because they can't physically use the word Batman.
Right.
Is that the one where the penguin is assaulted with a...
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen the clip.
They've also told The Little Mermaid, but with bugs on a planet.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
That's one of my favorites, actually. It's The Little Mermaid, but except Ariel is a bug, and he wants to become a Starship Ranger, and he escapes and becomes human and joins the Starship Rangers and has to stop them from murdering his planet. Meanwhile, there's an alternate plot to destroy the Starship Troopers via the planet.
I was going to say, you do realize this is Starship Troopers, right?
Yeah.
Like, as much as it's Little Mermaid, it's also Starship Troopers.
And then they also told... my other personal favorite is Oregon Trail.
Oh, yeah.
They do a whole Oregon Trail musical where they turn around and the audience gets to participate and pick all the people and then who dies throughout the whole entire musical.
There is just keeping on the theme, there's a great song in the most recent Harry Styles album. I think it's my favorite one of the album and might be my favorite one of his overall. It's called Matilda. For obvious reasons.
It's about Matilda.
But what he does is he gives Matilda a future. He grows her up and says, all right, what if this girl becomes a woman and is about to have a family, but is freaking out a little bit about it, is having like some anxiety because of the family that she came from. And he like literally is telling her, as if he's her boyfriend almost, like, it's okay. You deserve to have a family. You deserve to be okay. You deserve for the people you go home to have, like, to love you. And I'm just like, you cannot listen to that song without crying because
on topic, but also off topic. Everyone watch Matilda when it comes out on Christmas.
Oh yeah, the Matilda musical.
It's gonna be on Netflix.
Speaking of a book becoming a music entity thing, the Matilda musical, honestly, and I'm gonna say this, and everybody who's ever read Matilda is gonna hate me, and all of y'all can fall down the YSD stairs. Matilda the musical improves upon the book.
Oh my god, the movie,
it's
like,
much better.
They've only really showed Revolting Children, and that's what's become the meme lately, is from the musical.
Because Revolting Children's a great number.
It gets better. The dance is insane.
Ooh, I could see that, yeah. Yeah.
To be honest, like, a lot of people, too, because, like, obviously I've been throwing myself around TikTok lately, but a lot of people have been just kind of sitting there going, I don't remember this, and, like, going off. And we're just like
book or
yeah,
yeah,
and we're just like, well, that's because the musical's
it's an adaptation.
Better.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, also we have other musical adaptations of Roald Dahl stuff. I saw a TikTok the other day about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that I didn't realize that in the American version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
You mean the original published one?
The Broadway version.
Oh, in the musical. Oh, never mind. I thought you were going somewhere
They
else.
Deal with Veruca in a way that I didn't think they would be dealing with Veruca, but they did.
Oh, see, you have to understand something about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, it's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but I saw Willy Wonka with Gene Wilder, and that movie freaked me out.
So did I.
Yeah, that movie freaked me out so much that I was like, I'm fully disengaged from this entire universe. So
but I wasn't ready for squirrels dragging around a leg from a mannequin.
I know, I just am telling you I didn't get the reference because I'm like, anytime anyone says...
Why did it terrify you?
Because it's weird. It's really weird, and I don't know why people like that story so much. Like, I'm like, what is... do I need to read the book? Am I missing something?
No.
This is demented.
It is a fun book. And I like The Great Glass Elevator as well.
I've heard a lot of people say they like The Great Glass Elevator. Yeah.
I've never actually read The Great Glass
Elevator. I do
Elevator.
want to throw it out there that the SOC is doing in 2024. They've gotten the rights to do the newer Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It was recently on Broadway.
There was a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory recently on Broadway?
Yeah!
Oh,
that's the one that I'm talking about.
Oh, I didn't know.
Do the Oompa Loompa songs remain intact? Or do they just
yes, but like... Veruca goes through some unaliving.
Oh, the
Unaliving.
Unaliving via squirrel.
We don't want to be so negative just to say dying or dead. She's unalive.
You don't want to be negative in a Roald Dahl adaptation. That's hilarious.
I love that. Oh man.
Speaking of Lord of the Flies, I'm surprised you didn't mention the Offspring song that goes with it too.
I haven't heard it.
Which way?
I'm sorry.
You're Gonna Go Far, Kid by the Offspring is all about Lord of the Flies.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
I mean, granted, I don't really care for a lot of their stuff anyways, just because
Neither do I.
they're very monotoned, and I could go on for like ages about like how much I hate it when everyone Johnny One Notes a song, but monotone is when they just do the same note the whole entire time.
Yeah. Girl, I was in
It's kind of
choir.
funny.
For
I
the
know.
audience, I'm just staring at you because you're across the
Oh,
table.
I'm just like,
Congratulations.
I was like, what?
But they have the whole entire song that's about Lord of the Flies too. But
However, you know what? I should say this because it fits within the vein. The best musical adaptation, which they really just stole the movie and threw it up on stage, but that doesn't matter. The best musical adaptation of a dreadful, terrible, stupid, unintelligible.
what is it?
The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, The Wiz.
The Wizard of Oz. The Wiz is great. Even though I haven't seen it, I've heard it. But The Wizard of Oz, the movie, and then the stage musical is incredible. The book is trash.
I thought you were saying the movie was awful.
Wicked.
No, the
Wicked
movie's
is
fantastic.
Wicked is the exact same way.
Is it
The
really?
book, trash. Do not read.
I don't.
The book, do not read. Do not finish. Do not open.
I've never read it.
The
so I don't know.
musical, though, is good. He recently wrote, like, a sequel to it.
You mean another one?
Yeah.
It's like a whole
No,
series.
like the ones that we have, like, that we just recently got on the show.
Yeah, the is it
Gregory Maguire.
Barracoon, but not Barracoon.
I have
that's
no
the-
idea.
no,
It's just
Dorian
I
Gray.
hated processing it because it was only like a half jacket where it only covered half the
Oh, yeah,
book,
it did.
and I absolutely hate those. Publishers, if you do that again,
Oh,
no,
listen, let me tell you that publishers don't care about libraries.
I know they don't.
Period. Because
But
we
I
don't make them money.
just
So-
I hate them books. That's part of the reason why I throw away all my dust jackets.
That makes sense to me.
I will say I did enjoy Wicked.
The book.
I have no inclination to, like, it was good. I enjoyed it, but it's a kind of one and done. Like, I wasn't engaged enough to go read the next one or the next one.
Oh, okay.
But it was fun. I liked it.
It's fun, but that's it.
The Brides of Maricor. That's the one you think.
Sure, that one.
Yeah.
To be honest, I saw it and I went, "Oh, look, another one," and I put it on the shelf.
I want to read Wicked. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Do you want my copy?
I have a copy.
Okay, I was like, "Do you want my green colored copy?"
Yeah, I do. But to be perfectly honest, Wicked the musical is overrated. Yes, you can shoot me in an alley, but it's overrated.
To be honest, you're not wrong.
Actually, I liked it, but one time was good. For me.
And I'm saying this as a Stephen Schwartz fan.
Yeah.
But if I were going for favorite Stephen Schwartz anything, it would be Godspell all day long. Because the music to Godspell is genius. The lyrics make me want to bow down to the Jesus I don't believe in. Like, Stephen Schwartz could convert me to Christianity from Godspell alone. That's how excellent
watch that.
Godspell is. The movie is weird. It's not bad, it's just weird.
I haven't seen the movie.
So if you're familiar enough with the music and the musical, or if you've seen a stage adaptation, watch the movie for sure. But don't start your Godspell love with the movie. Well, actually, you might
Are
be
you
all right.
telling me
You're
to
an
watch
80s
the
kid.
book? Are you telling me
What?
to watch?
You're an 80s kid. You might be all right.
Yeah.
I am not an 80s kid, and I saw it on a bus choir trip, and I was like, what are they doing to Jesus? Why are they crucifying him on a fence? What is happening here? I just was not okay. But anyway.
Can I say before Aaron leaves, thank you, Grant. We talked music. We had a few conversations about what this could be, and you even said a few things about storytelling, but you came prepared.
Well, thank you.
And it was
Solid.
I need you to
Solid.
take a
Yeah, it
picture
was.
of this
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
This is great. It's fantastic.
I need the list to also be just attached as like a random Imgur link.
I'll get a photo of it in a second. It was...
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Put it in the Instagram post with a future like, "What are we talking about?" tag.
That was good stuff.
I'm mean,
Well-
Andy's also coming out to the desk in a hot
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure somebody covers it.
I'm going to dinner.
Yep. Well, I think in a few weeks we'll have to get back on board and like we'll start a new year. Like